Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So of course this upcoming weekend, there's a big one in boxing. Notably we have Alexander Usyk versus Daniel Dubois for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. But also we have a card in America that is headlined by the return of Manny Pacquiao, 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao. 8-weight world champion, of course, 72 fights deep, long, hard career. But he's back, and he's taking on Mario Barrios for the WBC welterweight title. I have to say, I've got a weird feeling about this weekend of boxing coming up. For whatever reason, something is stopping me getting excited. Wouldn't be surprised if we see some hijinks this weekend on both cards, both in the UK and in America. Just have a strange feeling, like I'm not hyped whatsoever. I'm not sure why. Because I like watching like Usyk fight, for example. Of course, I've always liked Manny Pacquiao. I mean, which boxing fan doesn't? But yeah, this weekend for some reason is just, I don't know. I'm not hyped for it. I feel there's going to be some controversy this weekend. But anyway, Manny Pacquiao returning against Mario Barrios. Say it ain't so. Listen, Manny Pacquiao, of course, I don't need to go into the accolades. I don't really need to list off, superlatives about Manny Pacquiao. We know how great he is, or was, what a great career he's had. But he's returning against Mario Barrios, who is, in my mind, a very weak world champion. Very basic. He's a tall, rangy, kind of skinny welterweight. Does the basics okay, decent jab, decent straight right. But there's no real dynamism in Mario Barrios. He's not the fastest. He's certainly not the most powerful, not the most defensively sound. He's a tough guy who does the basics well. And he's made the most of this welterweight era being very weak. Very, very weak, in most other eras, I don't think this guy would come close to a world title at welterweight, and quite frankly, Manny Pacquiao in and around his prime, or when he was campaigning at welterweight near his best, I don't think Mario Barrios, he'd be an okay sparring partner, that's about it, kind of one of those sparring partners, start of a training camp, tough guy, but no real quality there in my opinion. Having said all that, he is obviously much younger than Manny Pacquiao. Barrios is 29, 30 years old, still in his prime, as limited as he is. And he goes into this fight with a lot of advantages. Manny Pacquiao's 5'5.5", with a 67-inch reach, whereas Barrios is 6 foot, with a 71-inch reach. And, I think Barrios in this fight will try to utilise that ultimately. Just, do what he does best, which is throw the jab out, throw the straight right, keep tucked up behind a guard, try and time the left hook as Pacquiao comes in. I think he's going to rely on basic 1-2-3s, ABCs in this fight. Manny Pacquiao, in and around his prime, of course, was very explosive. He could get in and out very quickly. Not only did he have tremendous hand speed, but he had tremendous foot speed, as well as athleticism and explosivity, He had a lot going for him, Manny Pacquiao, not just technically, but physically and athletically. Pacquiao, 46 years old, is he going to be able to get in and out against Mario Barrios, a much taller, much longer guy? Does he have the feet to do that anymore? Does he have the foot speed? Does he have the power in those calves to do that and maintain it? I'm sure he'll be able to do it for a couple of rounds, but can he maintain it over 12? If you go back and watch Manny Pacquiao's exhibition fight he had last year or the year before, he fought a kickboxer, right? A big, tall kickboxer, but not a boxer. And in that fight, it was an exhibition, but in that fight, Pacquiao really struggled to deal with the range of that dude. He really, really struggled. And this is 18 months, 2 years down the line, whatever it is. Pacquiao's not going to have gotten any faster. Obviously, he would have trained harder for this fight. I'm sure his stamina, for example, will be better, etc. But, I don't think the speed is going to be there for Pacquiao to close that distance, particularly the foot speed. to get close to Barrios. Again, he may be able to do it for 1 or 2 rounds, and may even look good in those moments against a limited guy in Barrios. But I don't see how Pacquiao wins this fight over 12 at his age, at his advanced age. I just don't see it. I don't see how he consistently gets past the jab, the long right hand of Barrios. You know, Barrios is limited, but he does throw the straight punches pretty well. And he's also pretty tough, you know, so even if Pacquiao does have some success, I'm sure he'll soak it up. You know, even when Barrios gets dropped for the most part, he'll get back up, he'll keep trying. And yeah, I mean, I feel this is a very hard fight for Pacquiao. I do think it's going to be competitive early on, but I think as the fight draws out, when Pacquiao kind of loses that bounce in his step, when those calves start to get heavy, then I think you'll start to see him plod and maybe like walk into those straight punches of Barrios. And Barrios may just be able to pick him off at range, you know, and keep him at arm's length kind of thing. I do feel though, however, this fight, again, would I be surprised if there's some hijinks here to kind of write the story? You know, 46 years old, winning a welterweight title, Manny Pacquiao. Could there be some hijinks? Could there be some funny business on the scorecards? Could Barrios lay down? I think these are possibilities. I mean, I wasn't convinced by the legitimacy of Tank versus Barrios, so I do have question marks over Barrios in those regards. So, could Barrios lay an egg or lay down? Possibly, but I think if it's a real fight and both guys come to win, I just think Barrios is too young. Way too young. Too long as well, too tall. Not that Barrios is great, like I said, he's really not, but we're talking about a 46-year-old, sorry. A 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao. I can't see this ending well in a legitimate fight, but, you know, who knows, maybe I'm wrong. You know, Manny Pacquiao has proven me wrong before. I thought he was too old against Keith Thurman. You know, that was what, he was 40 then, I believe, or 41. But, you know, that's 5 years ago. And that was a hard fight as well, by the way. That was a hard fight. Pacquiao looked very good in that fight, but at the same time, you could tell then he was slipping. Great performance, though. But now we're 5 years later. And yeah, Barrios is nowhere near the level of Keith Thurman was then, but Pacquiao's nowhere near the level he was then either. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, listen, I'd love to suspend my disbelief, I guess, and I'd love for it to be a real fight, and I'd love Manny Pacquiao to win, then vacate and sail off into the sunset. That's what I'd love to happen. Am I convinced that's going to happen? No. I think more than likely Barrios wins. Either points, maybe even a late stoppage, but more than likely points. And yeah, I don't know. I just have a feeling this could be a sad state of affairs, but who knows? You know, Pacquiao's proved me wrong before, like I said. If anybody can do it, I guess maybe it's Manny Pacquiao. But yeah, I mean, share your thoughts below. It's been your guy Delboy. Peace.